And a very happy Thursday to you at 12:06 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in New Mexico.
John, just minutes ago, the LA Metro Board voted unanimously to approve an option for the Sepulveda Transit Corridor project, which would be a 14-mile line from the San Fernando Valley to the west side through the Sepulveda Pass. They say it will be completed by 2033. What are the chances that that actually happens?
Slim and none, and Slim just left the building.
There's also only $3.5 billion already allocated for funding for this project, and they're going to need about $25 billion.
Okay, what part of town is going to give the other part of town more bums?
That's a good question.
And both sides of town are going to blame each other. What are you going to do? 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, the drama queen in chief of the state of California, Gavin Newsom, is in Davos trying to generate as much attention as humanly possible. He's trying to prove to the world that he is the anti-Trump and he's going to follow Trump all around the globe and to various public speeches and events that he's going to be participating in, and he's going to give the Democratic response to everything it is that Trump is doing and saying. The problem for Gavin Newsom is that he's doing that while Rome burns. Not literally, Karen Bass does that. We just have a lot of problems, albeit we're not on fire. We talked about the budget earlier in the week that is underwater, and the state's legislative analyst office told Gavin Newsom that his budget is not acceptable, and the state legislature is asking for more details. Newsom says, we'll get back to you around May. Legislature says, well, that's not going to work for us, and Newsom said, too bad. Well, that's not the only problem that Newsom has going on right now on his watch that's creating headaches in Sacramento.
In fact, one of the things that Gavin Newsom acted very forcefully on, but in the Gavin Newsom way of big headline, no follow through, no details. About 2 years ago, Gavin Newsom announced a major return to work order for thousands and thousands of state employees in Sacramento. But the unions said no, and they delayed it a year, and then it was supposed to kick into effect last summer, and the union said no, so they delayed it another year, and something tells me at this point, all of the office workers who work for the state in Sacramento are never going back to the office, which means, John, there are tons and tons and tons of empty office buildings in downtown Sacramento.
And it doesn't matter what story you're talking about, whether it's the wealth confiscation tax that the SEIU wants, which, of course, Gavin Newsom said, I don't want you to move forward with that. And they said, okay, thanks, but no thanks. We're not going to pay attention to you. We're just going to do what we want to do. And it looks like the same thing is going on here, where no one is paying attention to Gavin Newsom. And since he's an absentee landlord, you don't have to.
Let's find out what's going on with all the empty office space in Sacramento. Here's a report from CBS in Sacramento.
Is Sacramento's downtown rebound a dud?
Yes, it is.
Apparently, well, someone should have told London Breed that in Sacramento, there's no FOMO at all.
Where is that drop?
If you are not here, FOMO.
I miss her.
Is Sacramento's downtown rebound a dud, more than 2 years removed from the pandemic? And despite Governor Newsom's return to office order last year,
which was, again, delayed already by a year. He's been asking for this for 2 years, and the unions have said, no way, Jose.
What's wild to me is for someone with such a thin skin, none of this seems to bother him. It bothers him if he's not prominently placed on the national subjects, but at home, if people treat him like he's irrelevant, he seems to be okay with that.
I think an issue like this, he has completely forgotten about.
Just over half of the state workers are back downtown compared to 2019 levels. What a difference a few years can make, right? Thanks for joining us here for your news at 6. I'm Tony Lopez.
And I'm Marley Ginter. In tonight's Politics at Large, Steve is live for us downtown with all the state office space still sitting empty, Steve.
And you know the union's never going to budge on this, so why didn't we, I don't know, over the last 2 years, redevelop those buildings into something that people could actually use, or, as we keep hearing, selling state-owned land to places that could actually use it?
Well, and any Democrat running for governor is going to need the endorsements of the public employee unions. So the next governor isn't going to run on the platform of forcing all of these people back to work. Either Newsom does it now or it never happens.
Yeah, and this is a prime example of the problem, the massive EDD building right here on Capitol Mall. Sacramento State is considering buying it. It used to be a hub for state employees. Now it's mostly hollow.
All the unemployment people are working at home.
Well, you know what you can call that building now that there's nothing there?
What's that?
It's the EDD building, right?
Yes.
The Erectile Dysfunction Department.
He'll be here all night, folks.
State office space sitting in limbo.
Just don't let those buildings sit empty.
Sacramento City Council member Phil Pluckybaum is calling.
That's a great name.
Whoa, can you imagine how that looks on a yard sign?
Vote Pluckybaum.
Just don't let those buildings sit empty.
Sacramento City Council member Phil Pluckybaum is calling on the state to speed up its reuse of empty and underused office buildings.
See, even the local Sacramento City Council knows that the unions are never going back to work. So why don't we tear down those buildings and put something up that we can actually use?
And what's funny is local electeds go after individual property owners if you leave units empty because they say that contributes to the housing crisis. Yet you look at what's going on in Sacramento and you have huge buildings that are empty.
Double trouble for a city getting no property or sales tax from them.
Are you frustrated by the state?
Who isn't? Uniquely, Sacramento has the most state properties in it of any city in the state because we're the capital.
Sacramento's Downtown Partnership published this map showing how many state properties sit in the Sacramento downtown core. And this map showing how many downtown core buildings are non-taxable properties. 43% of them state-owned.
We need to think.
And most of those are sitting completely empty.
Well, thankfully, they're not quite to the level of Taggart Tower in downtown Los Angeles, but if you leave them empty for a long time, you'll get there eventually.
We need to think differently about the uses that are coming into the central city.
Scott Kingston is a downtown Sacramento commercial real estate agent who says he is selling downtown Sacramento with the idea state workers will not be coming back for in-person work.
So, assuming that that's true,
there's no way Gavin Newsom, in the final summer of his term as governor, is going to use any political capital to force the unions to go back to the office.
Okay, so what happens if the state workers never go back? Let's just say, Randy, that one of us buys a Powerball ticket and we win. You know what happens when you win the state lottery?
What's
they
that?
fly up to Sacramento on Southwest Airlines. They no longer do a service, so bring your own bottle of Coke. You get to Sacramento, and then you go down to the state office, and they give you one of those Ed McMahon huge checks, the Publishers Clearinghouse checks, usually in a conference room somewhere in downtown Sacramento. So now what? Are you going to do it in someone's den? You're going to have a state employee. Well, they're going to stand there in their pajamas. They're going to have their slippers on. There's going to be an episode of Judge Judy playing in the background, and they're going to give you your life-size check there.
Hey, look, I'm not knocking the union for wanting to stay home. Parking in Sacramento is expensive. People have adapted to this life. The work is getting done probably at the same level of efficiency. And as someone who's currently broadcasting from New Mexico, I really see the benefits of remote work.
I get that there are certain jobs where you can work at home. That's fine. But if you work for the DMV, if you work for the state lottery, how do you do that from home?
Well, nowadays, most of the functions of the DMV are done at an ATM at the grocery store.
assuming that that's true, we need to spend our energy marketing the region, the central city in a different way.
Sacramento State recently released this AI rendering of their vision for a downtown campus near the Capitol. The university has extended talks to purchase the Capitol Mall EDD building through October of this year.
Oh, knock them all down. Yeah.
John Vignoki is the CEO of
Boy, there's a lot of great names in this story.
Yeah, no kidding. Does anyone have a normal name in this town?
Oh, knock them all down. Yeah.
John Vignoki is the CEO of Region Business and says the old state buildings should not be saved and reused, but demolished.
They're all old and dumpy.
Just put something in there that can pass inspection for once.
I wonder why the workers don't want to go back. Although most of them say they don't want to go back because it would cost them more money because of gas and parking. And the parking in downtown Sacramento is ridiculous.
Well, and you can't rely on the light rail up there because the crackheads steal all the copper wire.
It's cheaper to build from scratch than remodel, and nothing special about those buildings at all.
The state's in a budget deficit. We could probably make some serious money selling those buildings that are not being used.
Sacramento's struggling downtown core and the search for solutions to its empty state buildings. Just recently, the state did publish a new website listing all the excess state property by city and by county. In the downtown core of Sacramento, there is one property that is listed. It's a building on 8th and R.
Yeah, there's way more buildings than that should be on that website.
Yeah, no kidding.
So there you go. Sacramento's downtown is still mostly empty because the unions have said no way to Gavin Newsom's return to work order 2 years in a row, and it's about to be 3 years in a row. And like you said, Johnny, there's no way the next candidate for governor is even going to touch this issue.
Well, that's just one of Gavin Newsom's problems back at home while he is gallivanting around Davos. Not only has $1 trillion in wealth left the state because of the proposed SEIU wealth confiscation tax, but businesses are moving out at a frantic clip too, including one in the Central Valley, Randy.
A Del Monte plant is closing. Is it because of broad economic challenges, or is it because people don't buy canned peaches anymore?
Well, people like canned peaches because unlike fresh ones, those are loaded with sugar.
For more, here's KCRA3 in Sacramento.
Well, a cornerstone of the Central Valley's agricultural economy is shutting its doors, leaving hundreds of people without a job.
The decision comes after a Walnut Creek-based company, Del Monte Foods, filed for bankruptcy in July. KCRA3's Michelle Bandor is live.
See, all this push for health food is really destroying some time-honored tradition companies.
KCRA3's Michelle.
That's health food.
You know what? I want to go back to the days where green beans were neon green and soft and chewy.
KCRA3's Michelle Bandor is live in Modesto right now. So, Michelle, what does this loss mean for the community?
Well, Andrea, Del Monte Foods tells us it was a difficult decision and is now starting the wind down process here at the cannery in Modesto. That's been part of this community in the 1900s, and now hundreds of people are starting the new year looking for new jobs.
Yep, I'm sad. Everybody's sad.
This Del Monte Foods employee says she's worked here in Modesto for 41 years and says the cannery's closing.
That's a lot of canning.
Yeah, no kidding.
Will most likely force her into retirement.
But I feel sorry for the other people, young people that are still working here. They don't have the age to get retired.
The shutdown means around 600 full-time workers and another 800 or so seasonal workers will lose their jobs.
It's a gut punch for sure.
Stanislaus County Supervisor and former peach farmer Vito Chiesa says the plant's closing will have a huge impact on the agricultural community.
You think of the farmers, the people that are working on the farm, the equipment salesmen, the fertilizer, on through to the processing plant, Silicon Container, who makes the cans, the truckers that are involved in moving material around. So it is a big loss.
Del Monte Foods filed for bankruptcy last July and auctioned off the company in pieces to 3 different groups. Pacific Coast producers based in Lodi buying cannery products such as shelf-stable canned fruit and fruit cups. But
nobody wanted to buy the Del Monte plant because that is not a growth industry.
Well, I just thought of something, Randy.
Yeah.
The last thing at that plant to get canned are the employees.
But industry experts say it's not large enough to take on the amount of peaches, apricots, and pears under contract with growers.
Canned pears? No, thank you.
Oh, they're delicious because those are all sugar too.
This is not the first hit for this industry.
The employees are represented by the Teamsters Local 948. Union Representative Otis Hall says labor and supplies are getting more expensive, and the new tariff.
Well, I wonder why that is.
Everything in California is getting more expensive.
And the new tariffs on tin doesn't help.
The overwhelming majority of this tin plate comes from overseas, and there's nowhere else to get it. So all that tariff did was increase the cost of canned foods.
There's got to be a price ceiling. There's only so much people are willing to pay for old canned peaches.
I think you're right.
Making it that much more difficult for them to compete in a market against imported peaches that come in already canned.
Del Monte Foods tells KCRA3 in a statement it was a difficult decision, saying, "We recognize the significant impact this decision will have on our team members, their families, and the community, and our priority is supporting our team and customers through this transition. We are grateful to the Modesto team for their dedication and contributions to Del Monte Foods over the years."
So there you go, a long storied company in California going out of business. I don't know if you can 100% blame this one in California, because who's buying canned fruit outside of John these days?
Oh, I like the canned fruit. I used to have some in my lunch every day when I was a student, along with a Little Debbie. Peanut butter and jelly. Ah, those were the days.
How do you not have diabetes?
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, we're going to Long Beach.
We are. How about this? It's coming up in just a couple of weeks. Friday, February 6th, we're heading back to Gladstone's in Long Beach for a live broadcast of the John Phillips Show. Friday the 6th from noon to 3, we're heading to Gladstone's in Long Beach for our next live broadcast, and you're invited. They've got fantastic food, good vibes, really great drinks, and a fun afternoon by the water. We're going to have special guests like Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association. She'll tell you more about your taxpayer rights and protecting Prop 13 because the courts have made it easier to raise your taxes. We need you to come by and sign the petition to save Prop 13. You can do that in person at the event, or you can do it right now. Get your friends, your family, your neighbors to do it as well. Get 10 people to do it. Go to saveprop13.com. Otherwise, you will not be able to continue to afford to live in California. So come out, hang with us, grab a bite, and be part of the broadcast. The John Phillips Show, live at Gladstone's in Long Beach, Friday, February 6th from noon to 3.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Alan Napa writes in at johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com on the subject line of state worker offices being empty. Then, Johnny, why, oh, why are we building that new Capitol Annex building? I'm getting grumpy again just thinking about it. You know, that's a really, really, really good point. If we have all this empty office space, why are we spending billions of dollars on a new office building in Sacramento?
Well, I can tell you the answer to that.
Yeah.
So members of the legislature can avoid Ashley Zavala.
That's right. The Capitol Annex is going to have secret hallways where legislators can run away from the press.
What do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes John Mellencamp to the Hollywood Bowl on August 10th. Tickets are on sale Friday at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck, dialing.
All right, Randy, it's time to open up the California crime blotter.
It's happened yet again.
It's Wild Wild West out here.
It's the California Crime Blotter with John
and Randy.
And the first edition involves the world's oldest profession.
There is a lot of hooking going on in Larchmont in the Hollywood area, and oh boy, is nobody doing a damn thing about it, but the neighbors are outraged. Now, Johnny, I get a little problem here.
What?
I listened to this story. It's from Matthew Seedorf on Fox 11. There's a phrase that is used in the story that I was shocked they didn't bleep, that I feel like I need to go back and bleep. So can I get you to vamp for about 15 seconds?
Okay, now this is one of these stories for the blotter that any number of listeners sent to us. And we can always tell when there's a story that'll resonate with the audience. When I wake up in the morning, I fire up the old laptop, I open up the show email account, and I see about 15 different links to the same story. The moment I see that, I know we've got a winner, a surefire winner for the crime blotter later that day.
Okay, I now have the term bleeped that I did not think was appropriate for these airwaves, but did air on Fox 11. So without further ado, here is Matthew Seedorf and Fox 11.
That's just from last night?
Yeah. Oh, sometimes it's worse.
The disgusting wake-up call in the Larchmont neighborhood morning after morning.
We see used condoms with out of them on the street.
That's the thing I had to bleep out.
Oh, I thought you were going to bleep out some crass name for a hooker. And I was trying to think in my head, okay, I'm familiar with the common ones. Is there something out there that's so vile that we can't put it on our airwaves? And now you've answered the question.
Well, there definitely is. I know 2 radio hosts that got suspended over using such a phrase.
Oh, I remember that quite well.
But no, this was more about the contents of a prophylactic that I don't think we need to discuss.
No, but we can all use our reading comprehension skills.
Used condoms with out of them on the street. Sometimes they're covered in blood.
Oh, my.
Oh.
Isn't this
they put that on the news?
You know what? It's informational. People should know the kind of horrific behavior that's going on in one of the more expensive parts of Hollywood.
In the dark of night, cars pull up along Elmwood and the transactions begin.
Maybe 10 at night.
By the way, if Matthew Seedorf can roll up and film this stuff on camera and everyone in the neighborhood knows that it's going on, where is the police?
Well, where's the city council person? Because this is something where if you call the council person, they make a phone call to whoever it is that's in charge of that particular police station, and they say, hey, this is a problem. We're getting calls. Get them to knock it off.
Yeah, but what do you do when your city council person is Hugo Soto Martinez and he's a defund the policer?
Well, then you get a mop and a bucket.
I wonder if, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I do wonder when LAPD do get calls from the members of the city council, when they know that they are openly hostile towards the police, I just wonder if they're a little slower to respond to some of those service calls.
Oh, I would send him to voicemail 10 times out of 10.
Sometimes 5 or 6 in the morning.
Inside vehicles, on the sidewalk.
Right here, my room is right there.
And sometimes just feet from family homes.
A couple were having sex right here on the bench.
On the bench, right outside.
On the bench?
Right outside his bedroom?
What's going on in
You know,
Larchmont?
some people wake up to the smell of coffee.
I don't think you need to finish that.
A couple
Sometimes
were
it's bacon frying in a pan.
A couple were having sex right here on the bench.
On the bench, right outside your house.
Right outside the house.
Whether it's parents walking their children to Van Ness Elementary.
They're getting one hell of an education.
Yeah, no kidding.
or parents getting into the cars with children.
A neighborhood desperate for change after months of mess. Putting out yard signs warning workers and customers surveillance cameras are on.
All the appropriate committees are aware of it. And
hey, it might as well, if the city can't do anything about this or won't do anything about this, turn those cameras into live streaming cameras and let's put this on OnlyFans.
This is one of these things where we've been taught from the moment we were young that the old way of doing things wasn't good. That in the old days, if this happened on your grandparents' block, they would find a way to put an end to it without involving the cops. They would be persuasive. They might be illegal, but they would figure out a way to make sure this didn't happen where they were raising their children. But over time, as we've evolved and we've learned more about the world, we've been taught to go through the proper channels. That way, trained professionals will show up and handle it the right way. And it'll happen in the humane way, and we will make sure that the problem gets resolved in a way that makes everyone happy, where everyone has due process and no one gets abused. But you do it the proper way, and the problem just exists forever, and they just say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Think about how your grandparents would have handled this.
I think there would have been a baseball bat involved.
Yeah. 90% of these blotter stories would not have been put up with by the greatest generation. They just wouldn't put up with it. What do you think Bob Dole would do if this was going on his block? He'd take that one good arm of his and he'd grab one of these hookers and she'd be tossed into the next city.
All the appropriate committees are aware of it and our elected officials, and they barely made a dent.
Of course.
No, they don't exist to solve problems. They exist to make excuses as to why they can't solve problems.
Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez tells Fox 11 the city is launching a new cross-agency task force targeting human trafficking along Western Avenue, partnering with a group that rescues trafficked women and girls and provides survivor-centered support. Do you feel like some of them could be...
Yeah, but what about arresting the pimps? What about arresting the, and I'm sorry to use this term, the Johns?
I appreciate your concern.
Didn't Nathan Hochman just have a big press conference on the Figueroa corridor saying they're going to start cracking down on the purchasers of sex trafficking? Well, here is a spot in Hollywood where it's happening out in the open at all hours of day and night. And where is the enforcement?
Well, here's the thing, though. The DA can only charge people who are arrested by the police department. If they're not being arrested in the first place, Hochman can't do anything.
Do you feel like some of them could be minors?
Well, there's a very good possibility that they are.
Neighbors hoping the women get help and the morning mess comes to an end.
Anything that they can do would be great. I think it's patrolling, and I don't think that the resources are there.
Neighbors really hoping that all of this attention will get it to stop. Reporting live tonight, Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
It works with some members of the city council, but Hugo, there's no way to embarrass him to do his job. Whether it was the squatter house that caught on fire, that the snuff films were going on, the homeless encampments that pop back up the second that they're cleared, Hugo Soto Martinez will not be shamed into doing his job. And he's up for re-election, folks.
Well, his response is always, we need to do more for the criminals. If we just did more for the criminals, the problem wouldn't exist. And that, by the way, is an ideology that's shared by the fake doctor, the woman who runs the LA County Department of Public Health. Didn't she launch an entire campaign about doing more for the Johns? Or not the Johns, excuse me, the pimps.
She wanted to get right in the middle of the sex trafficking industry.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And right now it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
I see. Time for the California Crime Blotter.
And Randy, this will be the second entry to the blotter this week involving a laundromat.
This time it's a laundromat in North Hollywood where there was a robbery. For more, here's NBC4 in Los Angeles.
Now to an NBC4 exclusive, an attack and attempted robbery at a laundromat in North Hollywood, all caught on surveillance video. It's a story you'll see only here on NBC4. Robert Kovacic is live in North Hollywood at the police station there for us. Robert.
Carolyn, with all the reporting that we have done, we know that a lot of business owners are going to hear this and perhaps nod their heads in agreement because they have something similar to share.
But this has happened to all of us.
You notice the similarities between laundromats and other places where people get robbed all the time? Gas stations, where you're stuck in the same spot for a period of time because it takes a while for the clothes to wash or your car to fill up with gas, or if you have an electric car, for your car to charge. And the crooks and the crazy people and the people who are looking for prey understand that. They know you're not going anywhere. So if they show up to one of these places, you're a sitting duck.
I got to imagine there are fewer, more depressing places than a North Hollywood laundromat.
Yeah, what do? You sit there and play on your phone? You do Ultimate X poker?
But this is what one business owner is sharing with NBC4 exclusively tonight. Barton Kostanian has been trying to make a go of it, and he's doing really well. Despite that, last year, an employee had a gun pointed at him by a robber. And despite what happened this afternoon.
And by the way, you're robbing a laundromat of what? Quarters?
What could you possibly get with a roll of quarters?
And despite what happened this afternoon at 2 o'clock.
Defending your life with a laundry cart.
What happened today was unbelievable.
A masked man, armed with what the LAPD calls a metal pipe, bar, or rod, barges into Laundry King this afternoon. And tonight...
I've never seen my laundromat.
Give me all your detergent.
If you don't give me that fabric softener, your ass is on the line.
And tonight...
I've never seen my laundromat empty like this, man. People are scared. Within minutes, the word was out, and nobody's coming here, you know?
Barton Kostanian, not just...
Yeah, it's at that point you try to find friends or relatives or anyone that'll let you use their laundry machine. You know, I know that it's not possible for everyone to have their own washer and dryer, but that is the first sign that everything's going to be okay in your life.
I need to use his laundromat like I need a tire iron to the head.
Barton Kostanian, not just worried about a customer clear-out. The woman in the video is his wife.
When I saw the footage, I was devastated.
Here in North Hollywood, inside one of Kostanian's 5 Laundry Kings.
Okay, wait a second. How much money can you make off of owning 5 laundromats?
Well, it sounds like the king has a whole court.
That man demanded money from employees.
Telling them to open the safe or get the key to the safe.
Is there really a safe inside a laundromat?
What? Is that just a front to sell Rolex watches?
And they were like, we don't have the key to the safe. And that's where I guess my wife came from the back. He started pushing the carts around and started, shoving people around and hitting them and hitting my wife, throwing her on the ground. And that's, I guess, one of the customers already called the cops, so the sirens went on.
The LAPD responded quickly, but it's not back to business as usual.
I've been concerned about the safety in this area for a long time.
Well, it is North Hollywood.
Oh, yes, but if you listen to Karen Bass, all of her programs are working, and LA's as safe as it's ever been.
For a long time. That's the reason I have a security guard here every day from 6 p.m.
Okay, this guy's got to be doing... There must be a lot of money in laundromats if he can afford to hire a security guard.
Well, just think about that for a second, though. First of all, something happened that required him to hire a security guard. And despite the fact that he has visible muscle in the laundromat, a guy still shows up with a pipe looking to rough people up.
Here every day from 6 p.m., 6 a.m. Now I have to decide on a different kind of protocol or have security 24 hours. But then that means I'm going to have to go bankrupt paying my security guard. Unbelievable.
Meantime, you have to start making those laundry machines charge you with the dollar coins.
Somebody needs to explain statistics to him to let him know that crime is actually going down.
Meantime, Barton's wife is in the hospital tonight being examined for her injuries. The alleged robber also in the hospital tonight because one of Varden's employees managed to pepper spray him. Look at that.
All right. Finally, some good news.
But the LAPD here in North Hollywood tells us that he is under arrest right now and will be booked. Varden is grateful to officers for responding so quickly, but right now he is echoing what we have heard from so many small business owners. Varden says right now he is simply trying to survive. Live in North Hollywood, I'm Robert Kovacic. Carolyn?
There you go. The second story in as many days that had to do with a violent incident in a laundromat. This time, a laundromat in North Hollywood where a guy busted with a pipe trying to rob everybody inside.
Which is nuts, given the fact that when we have a mayoral election in Los Angeles, we have a gubernatorial election statewide in California, and all the candidates are on the stage, someone, whether it's Spencer Pratt running for mayor or Steve Hilton running for governor, whomever, is going to make the point that California is not safe. I can guarantee you right now, whomever it is that's a member of the mainstream media that's been tapped to moderate the debate will do a fact check and will go, ba, 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 ba. The stats actually show that crime is down and California is very safe. That's what's going to happen because that's the narrative. And it doesn't matter if it matches with reality. That's the narrative that they're going to put out. And anyone who says otherwise is going to be branded as someone spreading misinformation, a conspiracy theorist, someone who's willing to exploit victims for political gain, whatever. This is the reality. If you're not safe in a laundromat, what do you think it's like to own a jewelry shop right now? What do you think it's like to work the overnight shift at a 7-Eleven? It's not safe in this state. We all know it, but they just stick to the script and it gets repeated and validated by the media and by academia and by the statisticians and the fact checkers and everyone else. And they just all stick to the company line. Gavin Newsom is going to run for president on the platform of he made California safe. You watch. You're not going crazy. They're the crazy ones for saying it. And the people who believe them, despite the fact that they live here too, and they see everything that we see, they're the real crazy ones.